Hey, do you all remember when a group of far-right insurrectionists decided to launch a attack on the U.S. Capitol building in an attempt to keep the democratic process from continuing? And even there's evidence of them coming prepared to take elected officials hostage and perhaps even murder them. Do you guys remember that? It's been a while. But I think most of us remember that. So one of the people who was present there was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, our queen. Not really. She's pretty cool, though. Yeah, so she was present at the Capitol building. As you can imagine, during the certification of the election results, basically everyone had to be there. And that is what those protesters were there to stop. Or I should say those terrorists, sorry. That is what those terrorists were there to prevent. They don't like democracy if their guy loses. So there had been quite a bit of warning leading up to the protest or the riot, the insurrection. There'd been quite a bit of, build up and warning for quite a while. So the elected officials were prepared. There was an evacuation escape plan made to ensure that they could get out of there safely to different buildings in the area. Now, something a lot of people don't know is that the entire Capitol area was actually under attack. A lot of people think it was just the Capitol building, but there were roving groups of Trump supporters that were attacking other buildings. It wasn't just the Capitol building itself. Now, that's obviously what got the most coverage and press, but for a better explanation of exactly what happened, you can go look up AOC's Instagram live stream where she tells the whole story of what happened, along with something that we'll be talking about more in just a minute. So, what happens when you are a conservative and you have a vested ideological interest in trying to downplay or make people forget about people in your political group trying to subvert the thing that this country stands for? Well, you can't deny that it happened. It was everyone saw it. Everyone fucking saw it. So all you can really do is try to deflect blame and minimize it. And that's what's happened. So following AOC's Instagram live stream, in which she tells the story of what happened, conservatives across the country have taken to the internet to start boiling up conspiracy theories about how actually it wasn't as bad as it's been made out to be. One of those conservative reactionaries being Keemstar. Now, this isn't going to be a video going after Keemstar. This is just going to be a video going after the general right-wing political movements, sanitization of what happened there that day. So, let's read this tweet. I would like to remind all the YouTubers and Twitch streamers that promoted AOC, you're just as stupid as she is. Do you like my Keemstar impression? I can't do the voice, but I can do the cadence. AOC was not in the U.S. Capitol building during her near-death experience. She was in the Cannon building. Rioters did not breach the Cannon building. So, what happened? What actually occurred? Well, from my understanding, and this has been these conspiracy theories have been debunked repeatedly at this point. Oh yeah, also Peter Coffin has done the same thing. I should clarify, it's not just conservatives doing this, but Peter Coffin has also engaged in this weird conspiracy mongering. At this point, it's not out of character for Peter Coffin because Peter Coffin is a piece of shit. However, basically anyone who's just hardcore anti-democrat is jumping on this shit. Peter Coffin, I don't think Peter Coffin's a secret conservative. I think Peter Coffin is probably, in the next year, going to be a full-on Nazgul, calling for the extermination of, Jews because Jews are pushing capitalism, whatever. Peter Coffin blew up at the suggestion that they're a class reductionist. So when you get that mad about an accusation like that, usually it means they're onto something. So what actually happened here? Well, the elected officials, including AOC herself, shortly before or around the time that the attack on the Capitol building began, were evacuated around to these two buildings. And for AOC, it was in the Cannon building where her office was. And she hid in her office, locked the doors, and hoped for the best. Now, this is just direct attempts at trying to dampen what happened here. What they're trying to do, what conservatives are trying to do, is deflect blame from the people who did this insurrection and try to put it onto someone like AOC to make it seem like she's lying about it, to make it seem like it's worse than it actually is. Because if you can get everyone's attention on hating AOC, people stop hating on the far-right people that engage in this kind of thing. And Keemstar, whether he likes it or not, is one of them. One of his first tweets after Trump lost the election was him standing in a graveyard doing a little skit suggesting that dead people voted in the election. Basically, that voter fraud took place and Trump didn't actually lose, and Biden only won because he cheated. So, with that said, I did quite a bit of research about this so that I could talk about it on stream. Been doing research on it for a few days. As it turns out, shortly after the dispersing of these insurrectionists, there were several bombs planted and found around the general capital area. Now, these weren't like C4 or anything crazy. They were very primitive explosive devices. Nothing super crazy, but still worrying, especially like when you got these people storming our capital with weapons. It's not a good thing. It's not comforting. And there were a few found around the Cannon building where AOC's office is. Now, I don't know what conservatives think that they're doing. Do they think that this is clever? Do they think that this is clever? Why would he even include the image here? He shouldn't have even included the image because it just makes his credibility even worse. Because if you know that there is a big fucking gaggle of people outside the building across the street that are far right and have expressed a desire to kill you, and you are hiding across the street, and you do an Instagram live stream where you talk about Arsler? No, I didn't. I did not say the Arsler. And you were across the street hiding in your office, and you do an Instagram live stream where you talk about how you're scared of what's going to happen, and people say, oh, you were in a different building. Why were you scared? Do they think that's a response? If your neighbor across the street, if the small pipe bombs, if I recall correctly, yeah, I think they were like little pipe bombs, and they were planted around this area too, like around where the office was. If your neighbor down the street is having their house robbed, and those burglars plan to rob your house as well, but they don't get the chance to, then you tell your story about how you were really scared because you thought your house was going to get robbed. Do you think it would be reasonable for people to say, oh, why are you scared? They were robbing the house down the street. What the fuck do they think they're doing? This shit is fucking wild. Get out of here. Own up for the bullshit you people have spread. You fucking right-wingers and Nazbul third positionists, whatever the fuck's on the left that are doing the exact same thing. Stop with this fucking conspiracy mongering, okay? If AOC wasn't present at the Capitol when this shit happened, she would have been called out by more people that were present at the event other than not just some fucking YouTubers and far-right conspiracy theorists on the internet, okay? Shut the fuck up. All right, no one's buying it. Every credible news outlet at this point has already spoken out against this, and that's not particularly what I want to talk about. What I do want to talk about, though, what I do think is probably even more prescient, because it adds on to this weird conservative complex of continue? Do I have to? God damn it. I'm not turning off my ad block. All right. Let me read this without a pop-up happening. So, basically, in the live stream, not a single person was surprised? Yeah. So basically, in the Instagram live stream that AOC did, she talked about how she was a victim of sexual assault, right? Very serious thing. She didn't accuse anybody. She didn't say who it was or even give any hints as to who it was or even suggest that she planned to out this person. It's implied, at least from my understanding, that this was an event that happened earlier in her life. Very sad, horrible thing. However, conservatives, of course, decide to call bullshit. So in combination with the claims that she wasn't actually at the Capitol when the riots happened, along with her, claiming that she was a victim of sexual abuse, people decide to make far-right dipshits decide to make hashtag Alexandria Ocasio-Smallett trend on Twitter. Does anyone here get the reference? The Smallett thing is a reference to someone named Jesse Smallett, who is a black man that paid white dudes to fake a hate crime towards him on video camera for sympathy and publicity, and then it was discovered that it was completely faked. And it's one of the biggest examples that conservatives point to of like how racism is fake in this country, and black people that talk about it just want to gain notoriety and attention. So now people are claiming that, no, they were other black dudes. Oh, were they? Oh, I thought it was like white dude. I don't know. It's been a while since that happened. I don't remember it perfectly. But yeah, basically Jesse Smollett, black dude, paid a couple of Nigerian dudes, apparently, to beat him up. But yeah, okay. So basically now people are trying to equate AOC to that guy. Oh, he told the cops they were white MAGA hat people. That's probably why I was thinking of that. So, yeah, so basically a shit ton of conservative pundits are now claiming that she's lying about both things, that AOC is a fucking crazy, lying, whatever. All right, listen. For one, the claims that she wasn't at the Capitol during the insurrection and the attempt on several, probably including her. I mean, listen, she's the most famous left-leaning politician in America right now besides Bernie Sanders. If you think a bunch of far-right, white nationalist, neo-Nazi insurrectionists weren't there at the Capitol to try to kill her as well, you're fucking crazy. Even though those claims have been debunked, we can't really debunk any of the people saying that she wasn't sexually assaulted, considering we don't actually know if it happened. This is just a situation where there is literally nothing to lose by believing her. She's not accusing anybody or anything. Nobody suffers if we believe her. But many people can suffer if we don't. So I want to bring this around to a talk about rape culture. I talked about this before during my coverage of Isaac Butterfield. We live in a society. We live in a society in which a man with over 50 credible rape allegations against him can become the most powerful man in the world and get elected as president of the United States. And his supporters will say it's just locker room talk whenever he boasts about unconsensually grabbing women by their genitalia. We live in a country in which a very rich, powerful man by the name of Jeffrey Epstein was able to buy several massive, very expensive properties around the world, from Paris to New Mexico to Florida to the Caribbean, in which he shipped out dozens, hundreds even, of underage young girls where he raped them and sexually assaulted them, as well as allowing other powerful people he was friends with to do the same. And what he was doing was a pretty open secret in Hollywood and in the general elite class. And yet, nothing happened over the course of decades of him doing this. We live in a society in which Harvey Weinstein, one of the most recognizable names in the movie industry, was able to sexually assault and harass dozens, perhaps even more, men and women for decades, and nobody spoke out against him until recently. And we also live in a society in which a congresswoman on an Instagram live stream can say, I was once sexually assaulted, and droves of people on the internet will come out and say, she's a liar. For no reason, just because they don't like her. So yeah. Very depressing that these people exist. These types of people objectively make the world a worse place. They make it less safe for everybody. We need to fight against these people. We need to fight against their rhetoric. This kind of ideology cannot be allowed to stand. When Trump lost the election and Biden was sworn in, I talked about how Trumpism wasn't going to go away. And I think this is the first example of how right I am. Trump supporters are angry, and they're now lashing out in grief and misery. So, with that said, we got to keep on fighting that Trumpism, because this is where it leads. And they got nothing to lose now. So, yeah. Hey, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. It helps the video a lot. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I live stream or upload a new video. Also, if you're watching this right after it was uploaded, I should be live in 1 hour at 1 p.m. PST every day on YouTube and my website, xanderhall.com. Please come stop by and say hello. I love seeing new people in chat. Also make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description. Join my fan Discord if you want to contact me for a discussion or debate through the link in the description as well. If you're feeling extra generous and you can afford it, you can support me financially by donating or subscribing on my website, hitting the join button below the video to become a channel member, or super chatting during my streams. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.